Welcome. Got it figured out there?
What?
Said you got to figure it out there?
I think so.
This is episode 9.
Nine. Bust a rhyme. You guys remember that? Remember that?
That's a good one. Today will be a fun one.
Today's going to be a fun one.
Yes, sure. We are going to go over realtor myths. So we searched high and low on the web to figure out what the general public's opinions or...
Well, and some of our realtor myths that we think so.
Well, I mean, I'm saying that a lot of them on there. You go online. Have you ever looked at Reddit? That'll be a good one we could do.
No. It's amazing.
Reddit, it's amazing.
Oh, no, I have looked at Reddit. Yeah, you're right.
It's a good place for topics. But anyways, we're going to just talk about realtor myths, and we're going to bust them.
Bust them. Mythbusters. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop with the jokes today. I'm in a better mood than the last.
Yeah, yesterday
No, was it? That was Tuesday, right? I don't know. Whatever. I was in a mood. You know, our job is...
Yeah, and this is going to be a little bit of an eye-opener for hopefully as to like what more of our day-to-day looks like versus just...
Oh, kind of this, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do an episode, though, a day in the life. Because I know...
It's going to be full of complaints.
I know everybody's so on the edge of their seat. Like, what do they do all day? What do they do?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a teaser for next time. Okay, first realtor myth that we hear all the time. Drum roll. We make our own schedules.
That is so laughable. We're at the mercy of our clients.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we don't have to be in our office from, this time to this time, but you are at the mercy of your clients. If your client needs to see a house and they can only go Saturday at noon, you better free up your Saturday at noon because that is just how it goes. And when it comes to appraisals, like anything that you're going to be present for, like the appraiser tells you, hey, I'll be here at this time. Like we can navigate it, right? A little, but we do not create our own schedule.
No, we don't. And seriously, prime example, going on vacation. Actually, when I was in Tahoe with, shout out, Kathy, she was video recording me. Like we were literally shooting bow and arrow, like arrows in the woods. And like I was on the phone for like 20 minutes of the entire thing. And she just like, I'm like, sorry.
I know. And that's the thing. It's like sometimes like that is part of it. It sucks that you could be doing something that is totally off of, your work schedule and this. But yeah, if you have a call, you have to take it.
Well, and I think our clients would appreciate this is that we know that your home is your most valuable and your most expensive asset that you own.
100%.
So we don't take that lightly. Like if I'm in the middle of something, your home is more important than my dinner,
100%.
So that's why
yes,
every minute of our lives are interrupted by real estate.
It's such a blessing and a curse. And I think that it's why you and I have, often our testimonials have something to do with the customer service, right? And like the responsiveness. And that is something that's a blessing and a curse because I wish I could compartmentalize and be like, okay, this is now my off time and I'm like, turn my brain off work. But it's not because I am empathetic and I feel like I'm in it with you. I feel like I'm in it with my clients. So it means just as much to me to hear bad news as it is to you to hear the bad news too.
Yeah.
Like I just pour myself, I feel like, into my clients and their situations, and it's not always the best for my mental health.
And I mean, I know this is like us complaining, but truly to summarize I know this because...
We do it to ourselves.
We do it to ourselves. I could technically say, no, I only work this time to this time, but real estate doesn't sleep. So either can I.
No.
But...
I mean, there's definitely, like, for instance, when it comes to a client, I don't expect my clients really, obviously to be reasonable with work hours, quote unquote. The only time I do get annoyed where it's like, I think real estate has a time is if it's agent to agent, something that could have waited until the next business day.
Totally.
Do not call me at 9:00 on a Sunday with crazy news that is going to involve an attorney and this and this and that. And nothing can happen until tomorrow morning. And all you've done is make me now lose an entire night's of sleep.
Okay. I guess that's one way to look at it. But what I was going to say is when I get new realtors, I often interview new realtors that like maybe they want to join the team or maybe they're thinking about making a career change. And one of the first things they say to me when we sit down is, oh, well, one of the reasons I'm looking to make a change is because I want to control my own schedule. That is the biggest, that's what I'm trying to say to people that are thinking about becoming one.
Biggest misconception.
Do not become a realtor because you want to make your own schedule, because this interrupts every aspect of your life. Kids sports, weekends, nights,
vacations,
time with your family, vacations. I think that's the hardest thing on probably like a realtor's marriage, truthfully, is like when you do have kids, every single weekend is a lot of time spent working and your spouse is solo with the children because you're working every weekend.
Shout out to Niall Campbell.
Yeah, shout out. Well, let's not give him. He loves himself enough. It's fine. But yeah. Anyway, that's what the only thing I'm trying to get across. So
I love this saying that's like, I left my 9 to 5 so I can work for myself 24/7.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It's
so true. I left my 9 to 5 so I could work for myself 24/7, and I was like, that is absolutely accurate.
And that being said, I'm not going back to a 9 to 5 because I do ultimately don't like being bossed around.
No, I can't. that is a huge, like, the way I put it is like, I can't imagine having to, like, sometimes I'll have a crazy day. I actually went through an entire tank of gas in 24 hours for the first time last week. That was how much driving I did.
Yeah.
And so I mean, me and Stephanie both, we still have really long days, but they're broken up between, I got an inspection here and then I have a showing here and then I have a meeting here. Whereas thinking back to like, okay, you have to spend 8 hours in this designated building in these walls. I don't think I could do it. I think I'd go nuts.
I mean, I could. It'd just be very difficult. Okay. Should we move on to number 2?
Yes.
Okay. Once you get licensed, you instantly start selling homes.
Yeah, no. Which honestly, I don't think anyone understands this until you go to school.
Nobody understands that, like, I mean, this is another thing about how much work we do for free, but we'll get into that. No, you don't just become a realtor and then they're like, oh, here's your book of business. Go out and sell this house. Like, that's not how this works. You don't have a assigned territory. You literally, when I'm meeting with new agents that are thinking about making career changes or joining the team, I always ask them this question. I say, who do you know right now that you could sell a home to? And they like look at me like why do I have to know that?
That's a good question.
Why do I have to know that? And I'm like, because that's who you're going to sell a house to. Like,
yeah.
Like, you might literally, and that's why the fail rate is so high in this business, is because you might not make any money for an easy 6 months, maybe a year.
Easy 6 months. I think it took me 6 months to get my first sale, and I think that was my mother.
Okay, see? Yeah, and I mean, look at you now.
Well, yeah. So basically what happens is you go through your schooling and then you take your boards, your state boards, and then you pass your tests. And then I'm assuming that's when the general public thinks you can go out and like sell your neighbor's house. Mm-hmm. You have to find a brokerage. Like, we're with App Properties. Mm-hmm. App Properties hangs our license. So you can't just go and just be, my own business right after I pass my boards. Like, you have to be basically a member of a brokerage.
Right. You have to have a sponsoring broker.
Yes.
To be able to sell real estate. But also, this is a sales job, and you're not going to get just all these leads flowing in off the bat. Like,
no,
you
BYOL, bring your own leads. Remember?
BYOC.
Or BYOC, bring your own clients.
Yeah, that's what we like to say at the Gold Group.
There was this one, so because that is, I mean, like we've said before, our team isn't really your standard team that gives out leads and then takes a cut of this. We're
like
a group who brings our own clients.
Anybody giving you leads is going to give you the junkiest leads.
The junkiest leads, and with whereas you take home basically nothing because it was their lead. Yeah. And I actually had like a couple of years ago an agent call me because he knew of a good, well, I shouldn't say good agent, but an agent that had just passed their boards looking for a team. And he's like, she's looking for some leads. I'm like, oh, I'm like, the Gold Group, yeah, you got to BYOC, bring your own clients, because it is like.
That's not what we're here for. We're here for the mentorship and the camaraderie. But I think overall arching, if the day one that you're licensed, you're not just going to be able to sell a house. You have to be prepared to not make money for at least a year.
Yes, I think that's the safe bet. Yeah, for sure.
Because you're going to spend that entire year trying to grow your business, trying to build up, spending money, building up your clientele, working on your sphere, like that whole thing.
Yep.
So that's it. That's all she wrote on that one.
I think so.
Okay. Next one for you, Kelly.
Oh God, what? I'm scared.
I
do have my script.
Okay, we're
I like this one.
We're being much more organized. We're, instead of just chalking off the cuff, we're actually following an outline so we don't forget things. We are just salespeople.
I wish at sometimes. I mean, no, not really, but
we're so much more. And
all the hats we wear, I feel like you literally don't know until you work with, like, I feel like that is a general feedback statement from clients is like, I had no idea how much this entailed. Like, if I had a dime.
My husband says that all the time.
And it doesn't happen. They don't realize it until the end. And that's why it's like, it's so much more than a sales job. I mean, we're a consultant. We're your therapist, damn near. We're basically your directory to, if we don't, like, just, I guarantee any legal question, they always ask us first, we direct them to our attorney. Lending question, we have to direct, like, we are just the main.
We're driving the bus.
Yes, we're the main contact hub. And outside of the logistics of the sale, we're the main contact hub for, I don't know, because, Billy's doing so good in this school and switching him to the next school. And then now I'm coaching you on, like, okay, so now I'm trying to help you work out your options on what, like, there's just so much mental that goes into it. I can't even begin to explain.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the word consultant is much more applicable 100%. To realtors because we are consultants. At the end of the day, this is your most expensive asset that you likely have, your most valuable. And if you didn't have someone to consult you on each move that you were making throughout the process, what would you do? You don't know. You've never, and a lot of times I'm on showings with clients and they walk into the home and they're like, okay, wait, I want to buy this, but I have to sell mine. Like, what do I do? How do I do this next? What am I supposed? You don't know. You have no idea, like, how to get from point A to point B, C, D, E, F. Mm-hmm. And so
in the time frame that it's going to require you to do it, because by the time
you compete.
Yes, exactly.
To compete, because it is such a competitive market. If we weren't there to coach you throughout this process, it would be, I would think, next to impossible.
Right.
You'd be flailing and terrified that you were making mistakes every single inch along the way.
And when you hear about the market having, multiple offer situations, mm-hmm. your first thought is probably like, wow, realtors must be doing so good. Okay, no, in the sense of, like, multiple offer situations when we're on the buy side, that means if my client submitted 5 offers before they got accepted, those were only the 5 houses they liked enough to submit on that I don't want to say wasted our time. We tried, but mm-hmm. that 0 payday came out of. Like, that was 5 showings on top mm-hmm. of probably the 10 they didn't even like enough to submit an offer. And then when it's multiple offers and you just keep on getting beat out, and it is sometimes can be months working with the client and you don't get paid. And sometimes eventually it works out and you do get paid. And sometimes change of plans. They decide not to move anymore. And then guess what? Everything that you put in there is, again, just time wasted.
Dead. I just think that, another thing, going back to consulting, how would you prep your home for sale? You mm-hmm. wouldn't know any of the things to do. Again, it's been frustrating to me even in the past when I've gone on listing appointments and you feel like you're giving away the whole,
I know you all of your, like, not secrets, but your entire way you do business.
The knowledge base here on how to prep a home for sale. And when I'm going on a listing appointment, I'm giving them all my information, mm-hmm. right? And there should be something that comes back out of that. This is 100%. Not like, yeah.
And those are the things that's part of, like, I feel like that's just part of it in the sense of.
It's part of our business.
It is for sure part of our business.
And I just think the process is super important because you guys wouldn't know anything about what do you do when the appraiser comes? How do you give them comps? Mm-hmm. How do you talk to them? What things are you supposed to be looking for? The inspection items. What should I be scared of? What should I not be scared of? These are all, things to consider that we've been through 101 times that you've likely gone through once or twice.
Yeah. And back to, like, time wasted and, like, how much work we do for free.
That's on our next Mythbuster, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll go.
Should I just jump onto it? Okay, let's jump on to. This is number four. We get paid too much. I wish. I wish I got paid per hour.
Oh God, hourly. When you break it down into hourly, everyone will be really quick to be like, yeah, maybe they don't get paid too much.
Paid us,
it's because we get such a bulk of work in one paycheck that oh my gosh, you make so much. And you want to know what? Full disclaimer, this is supposed to be an honest and raw podcast. There are some layups. They're called unicorns, but there are some deals that really do just not have one hiccup, and they're so smooth, and they're a unicorn. And maybe it is a little high of a check where you're like, okay, wow, I made half of this on the deal that cost me my freaking liver last week, like my entire, you know what I'm saying? So there is, and I think that that's a lot of commission jobs. There's going to be layups. There's going to be easier deals. But for the majority, for the entire idea, I do not believe that we get paid too much at all.
No.
At all. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's talk again.
Well, I mean, I think that goes back to all the work that we do for free. Like there is, and especially in this low inventory market, let me paint you the picture where I might have been working with a buyer for 6 months, right? Taking them, dropping my hat, interrupting any family moment that I have, running them here, running them there. 6 months, they still can't find anything. And they call me up and go, hey, Stef, you know what? We're just going to build. We already talked to this builder. Deal's done. Well, can you help us find this land for pennies? So that was 6 months of my life given for free. Mm-hmm. I didn't get paid. Nothing I can do about it. What do I do? They went around, talked to a builder without me consulting with them. And that's my job. That's what I signed up for. That's the risks that we take, so that when you are on a deal that felt smooth to you as the consumer, that's great that it felt smooth. That's our job
100%.
To take on a lot of the stress and deal with the back end stuff, and we don't tell you about that. The questions we're fielding from the lenders and talking to the HOAs and doing all these other things to make sure the deal gets to the closing table.
If you think realtors get paid too much, one of two things. You either, had a smooth transaction to where we could have very well be putting out fires behind closed doors. I mean, that was one of my sellers. One of the first things she said when we closed, like, that was so easy. And it really wasn't. It was kind of just, it wasn't too bad, but it really wasn't so easy. And I'm like, my response was, I'm so glad you feel that way. Like, I'm not agreeing with you because it really wasn't. And then secondly, if you think realtors are paid too much, then you had a bad experience with one. And that's unfortunate. And it sucks that you had a bad taste in your mouth.
I mean,
agent.
Not all realtors are created equal. And that just not all dentists are created equal.
Right.
Like, it just is what it is.
And there's also too, again, when we talk about the free work with time, there is also money. I personally think obviously time is worth money. So like there's one specific line that comes to mind. I mean, it was well over a year of like going on showings and going on showings and going on showings. And again, never bought anything, and that's fine. I never want to stand in the way of my clients getting a house, but have the decency to tell me. And like not, and like when you find out a whole year later that they're either working with someone else or that they did end up building, again, I want you to be happy. But can you tell me? Because I check my Zen list every day and I look at the buyers who haven't bought a house yet, and I'm still working for you. Yeah. And you're just using my Zen list. And that's annoying.
Yeah, no, that is. And I mean, that's another on that part is we are self-employed, which people don't realize. So we're self-employed. We have our own business expenses, marketing expenses, marketing ourselves, marketing the homes. And there's a lot of people that pay into their brokerages even. And I mean, with that being said, that commission that you're looking at is divided between two brokers. And then also,
it's essentially it gets split 4 ways.
Well, and your brokerage gets paid. Mm-hmm. So nobody takes home that full amount. That brokerage has to get paid. And then also the government has to get paid. Mm-hmm. They have a big handout in it. So, I mean, people just don't realize how much that dollar amount gets broken down.
Yeah, or like professional photos and then brochures or a listing video. Like you can be very well $1,000, like thousands, hundreds, whatever you want to call it, into a listing because that comes out of our pocket. So if we did professional photos on your house and it never sold and you never paid for them, guess who did?
Yeah, I know.
I know. So and again, that happens. I get it, but just to put it in perspective, that's not just like my photographer doing me a solid and just like, oh, that house never sold, don't worry about it. Like, no, that still gets paid for.
Yeah, I mean, you just listened to me. I just got a phone call from a client that showed we didn't sell their home. We instead rented it. They showed their home themselves recently. And I'm like, I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I'm just saying the only reason they showed their home was because I had it listed for sale in the past.
And all your marketing is still out there.
My marketing and everything is still out there from our past sale that we instead decided to rent. The reason he's going to sell his home is because of me.
Right.
So it's that domino effect that, anyway, I could vent for days. But let's go to number 5 so we can wrap this up. Selling a home for sale by owner, which is a nice little tie-in, will save you money. Huh. Well, I printed some stats out because I was like, this is actually very important. This actually can end up costing you money if you do it for sale by owner, and we have the stats to back it up. But one of the things that I want to touch base on, and I always tell my clients this, if they have a little doubt in their heart that they might want to sell for sale by owner, talk to your cousin, talk to your sister, talk to whomever you want before you involve me, and see if those people are actually interested in buying your home, because most people are not successful at a for sale by owner unless it's somebody they know really well.
100%.
So like if your third cousin is going to buy your house, great, good for you. I'm not knocking that. There are instances where this actually does work out. It's just not the majority. And I actually, funny enough, I had a client recently that I picked up that was going to do a for sale by owner, and I ended up telling them a much higher price than they thought their home was actually worth. And she is going to net so much more money because of listing with me than she would have if she would have done for sale by owner.
Also for buy owner too, I don't know if everyone has this mindset, but they should, but time is money. And I feel like that you hire an agent to get to the finish line, to get shit done, literally. I mean, the amount of calls that even just right now, I had to check in when's the appraisal happening, all these things. I would love to, we should honestly do that, like call for sale by owners and ask them like 3 questions in the sense of, what would you do if someone submitted an offer with this type of financing? Like, I want to know how little they know, because again, all of these things, and then they probably call an attorney like, hey, what do I do with this offer? And the attorney's probably like, that's not my job.
Right. I know. Attorneys are great. I love them, love our attorney,
yeah.
but we are in the weeds. We are in the weeds, doctor.
Yes.
And also something to factor in with for sale by owner, again, if you're trying to sell to the general public, I'm excluding you're selling to your third cousin. You're going to get less competition, less exposure, and there's no one advocating for you, right? Like there's nobody in your corner to talk to that appraiser when he comes that has an actual license and says, hey, this is why this home
is worth this.
Like, let's actually chat about it.
You want to know what I love reading just for fun?
Okay, let's hear.
Is the for sale by owners property descriptions. Like either they try so hard.
That's another thing you didn't realize about our many talents is that we're like, what's it, Pulitzer Prize writers now?
Oh my gosh. And that they're hilarious too, because some of them are just like what they should be, which is very just like contact seller for more info. But when they try to be realtors, it's hilarious.
So this is an amazing stat, okay?
Okay.
But FSBO, for sale by owners, homes on average sell for about $100,000 less compared to those sold with realtors. Damn. That is an insane.
What is that from?
Stat. I think it's the National Association of Realtors that did but this came from somebody else, and we can put it in the show notes. Actually,
yes, yeah, we're gonna start doing that, guys. So long or one sentence.
Yes. Let's see what else. A shrinking FSBO market. The FSBO market share hit an all-time low of 7% in 2023, suggesting a declining preference or success rate for that selling method. So, and then buyer familiarity matters. So FSBO does not have its place, particularly when sellers already have a buyer in mind. So basically they're saying what I've already said. If your third cousin's going to buy it, that's usually the only time that this is a successful transaction. Oh my God, remember that one seller we had that sold it to her brother, and she
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we actually have a situation where for sale by owner was terrible. The
The sister bought it from the brother.
The sister bought it from the brother, and she overpaid to her brother.
And do you want to know how she overpaid? Because when me and Stephanie were about to tell her list price.
We got to do a whole episode on this.
I know. I get this is
okay,
quick. Okay. So she bought this house from her brother. And when me and Stephanie found out the information on what she bought it for, and then we looked at the market and saw what her house is actually really worth, it was kind of one of those things where she bought it obviously for more than what she can sell it for. And we were just trying to have an honest and transparent conversation with her. And we were like, so where did you come up with the number that you purchased?
I'm thinking, of course they had an appraisal done. They wouldn't just like make up a number.
And you want to know what her response was? Zillow.
The Zestimate. So she spent
I think it was
hundreds of thousands on a house based off the Zillow's estimate, and she overpaid.
Yep.
Her brother didn't even have to hire a realtor.
No, her brother didn't have to hire a realtor. And then she hired us to sell it. And she, unfortunately, did not make her money back. But I just find that so mind-blowing, and it's probably so mind-blowing to us because we're in this day to day, but there are people out there who legitimately probably think a Zestimate is just as good as a home appraisal.
Yeah, I know. It's very
scary.
The only other thing that I'm going to add is that also, if you're thinking that you're going to find a buyer that's unrepresented and you're a FSBO, that's another thing to consider, because that buyer then is going to offer you a lower amount because they are aware that you're not paying a realtor. Like, you're not, again, it goes back to what are you going to actually net the most? How are you going to net the most? So
you do need to sellers do need to start looking at the net number. And honestly, as hard as it is, not pay attention to everything. Like, your net is your net. That is the most important number. Yeah. But they're just so concerned about everything else.
Well, but anyway, today we're just busting all the myths.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think so.
That's it. That's all she wrote. Okay.
I would love to hear, though, like we should put something out there for people to give some sort of suggestion or topics. I would love to know what people's myths are.
Oh,
like, not
yeah,
the
that
ones
would
that
be
we
great.
pull.
You know what? We should do like a Google
like
doc
an anonymous
or something.
Google form or something.
Yeah, SurveyMonkey, something where
like
people can
do like topic suggestions or like their own personal problem or like whatever it is. We could talk about it because
okay, love that. Love that for us.
All right, tune in
Until
next time.
Bye,
Bye, guys.